This here is my library. I have a lot of books. I have fiction to the left, non-fiction to the right, a few printers, an old one, my newest one, a little cheap inkjet, and a 3D printer, because every library needs a 3D printer. But what we're interested in today is my herbalism books. Actually, these herb fairies. So I've printed up a few, and we'll look at them. So this is the professionally bound one. Looks really nice. And here's one that's printed and sewn together. You can actually see the threads right here. So do this early and make a couple, you know, print them out. Print out some of the other stuff, bind that, and then figured out you can cut them, and they look really sharp when cut. The pages line up, and they look really good. I really like this. I'm going to show you how to do these. You can also do something like this. This one's actually a thicker one, so I have what we call 3 signatures, so it's actually 3 sections. The herb fairy books are thin enough we can get by with just one, but this book has enough pages in it that it works a little bit better when we do a square bound, stuff like that. The other thing I do is in my Wildcraft game, I have this book, which I printed and bound. See, because this talks a lot about a lot of the plants that are covered in the game. Cottonwood, one of the few that isn't covered. Wild mustard isn't either. But yeah, we just sew the book, stitch it, and we have a little booklet. So if people have questions about how to use a plant in the game, we could use this book. And oh, these are NFC stickers, so I can tap my cell phone on the board game on one of the purple squares, and I have a recording embedded to these, so I don't have to read the story every time. The phone will read it for me. So the process of making a booklet is fairly easy. What we want to do is we want to print the paper front and back with 2 pages per page. Now, the hard part is getting it printed front to back. It's actually the hardest part, especially when, if we don't do it right, it wants to print upside down. So we want the cover page, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, like that. It's really easy if we have a really fancy printer like this, which will print on both sides at one shot. But even if we have a printer like this, just a little, you know, inexpensive HP, we can still do it with this printer. It's just a little bit more work. So what we want to do is we want to download a copy of the book, whichever book we're interested in. We're going to do this one. You can download it, and then you open it, and we'll try printing it. So we go to print. Now I have a fancy office printer, so one of the things I can do is I could print this booklet mode. It's right in my print driver. Click booklet, and it automatically will format the book for booklet printing. And then I want to print front and back, which is in the properties, I think. Print on both sides. Yes, flip over. And then it'll print on both sides, and it'll actually walk through the book, front and back, and stuff like that. And this software driver for the printer will actually make the booklet and print the booklet for me. Tell it to print, and it'll start coming out in the printer here in a few minutes, ready to print. Now, if you don't have a fancy printer, that's alright. We can do a search online and we can find tools that will do the booklet formatting for us. Just a quick search, I found this one. It's called Bookbinder. It is at Quantum Elephant, quantumelephant.co.uk. Bookbinder, bookbinder.html. And it's a little Java application that you can download and then you run, and it looks something like this when you run it. So you can go File, open the book, and it'll show that I've got Fairies book 9 loaded. It tells me how many pages it is, how big the size is, and you can change, you know, whatever the size is. So it says the page size is 8 by 11. We can change our paper size to what we're trying to print to. I'm going to print to letter. If you're printing single-sided, you can choose single-sided, and what we want is we want full paper size. We'll also use as much of the paper as we can and keep proportions, all this fine, but we want a booklet, and it will tell us that it will give us, you know, there's 48 pages in the book. It uses a total of 12 sheets, you know, 12 pieces of paper printed front and back, for a total number of signatures of 1, because remember, a signature is a single section in the book. This one is 3 signatures, 1, 2, 3. So you can see how there's 3 separate sets of folds here. Each one of these is a signature, and then they're all sewn and glued together in this case. But we only want a single signature, so we can print just one little booklet. You can say generate document, and it will spit out a folder with the book in it, and it gives you the front side and then the back side. So you can open up the front side, you print this out. It's going to take a moment to, oh, actually it is loaded. It is got a blank back page. That's why it looked blank. So you do the front side, and then it'll just walk right through it. We take these pages out after they're printed. We load them again, and then we open up the side 2, and then it will show you the other side, and you can print this off a second time. Now, you're quite likely going to booger up the first page, where you'll print both on the, you know, twice on the same side, or once right side up and once right side upside down. So I would suggest printing, you know, the first page a couple times until you figure out, you know, on your printer if you got to load it this way and then this way, or how you have to load it to get it to print right. Well, once you get the first one figured out, just remember what it is, and then you won't have mix-ups like that. That's also why this one's printed in black and white, because it's so much cheaper to throw this away than it is if it was in color. So the process of binding a book, I've got this one printed out, is fairly simple. We basically want to fold every page and then stack them in. What we're trying to get is page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, etc. So we have our stack of papers, and you notice that it's like 32, 21, 22, 31. Kind of goofy like that, right? So there's a right way and a wrong way to fold it. After you fold it a couple times, you'll figure it out. So we want page 21 to page 22. So we want to fold 2 consecutive pages and then you're going to have a gap. And we just stick it down. Get that corner nice and sharp and lined up. And then I like using the handle to just, and then you stick that in. So again, you know, you may want to try to fold it like that, but it's 29, 30, 23. That's the wrong way. So we want 23, 24, 29, 30. That way the pages keep going up as we fold it. To bind this, you can use a stapler. You don't want to do it like this. What you want to do is you want to staple it open. Most people, I kind of want to do that. I want to staple it like this, but that leaves the pointy end out. So you actually want to staple it from the back side through to the inside. I use just a wooden block. You can use a book, and you don't actually want to staple to the book. You want to hold the seam off a little bit and then just use the pressure of the staple to do it. There's an offset in the stapler, the metal tab, and then the staple comes out a little bit front, so you actually want to push the staple just a little bit over, and that will do the staple. 2 sheets, just hit the staple, and then I go ahead and staple it to my book, right? Even after I said not to. So you get the staple on the inside, and you can just push that in. And then that will staple your book. By stapling it from the outside to the inside, your staple is on the inside and it's smooth on the outside, so you're not likely to get snagged and get hurt or something like that. You know how kids are. If there's a way they can get hurt, they'll get hurt. So we have this. I prefer sewing it. For sewing, you would use tapestry needle, and they make binder's thread, which is a really fancy acid-free linen, and there's fancy ways to bind books, which is this is for, but it's not necessary. I have it because a coworker of mine had taken a class on binding books for his graphics arts degree. So he didn't need it anymore, so he gave it to me. You can also use just regular sewing thread, but one thing to notice is the sewing thread is much thinner than the bookbinding thread. So it may not work as well, but if it's what you got, it's what you got. The other thing you can do is you can use embroidery floss. It's fairly cheap, it's easy to get a hold of. You want enough thread to go from the top of the bottom of the book twice. So it's once, twice. And that's how much thread you want. So then what we want to do is we want to poke some holes. You can use whatever you want. You could use a needle if you have it. I happen to have a little awl. I just make sure my book is nicely lined up. I use the edge of the book here and here for the edges because I'm going to cut the book here. So I start at that edge, at the edge of my thing, and I want to measure 1 inch in. This happens to be 7 inches, so I'm going to measure 1 inch in. And then I want to do it at the exact center, which is going to be 3.5. And I just line it up. Get the hole right in the center. Nice little hole. 3.5. 3.5. And 6. I also like, once I get the holes pricked, I like going onto a piece of wood and just making them a little bit bigger. So now I have the center. We got 3 holes. We're going to start at the center hole. We're just going to poke through. See? Go right through. And then we're going to pull it out. We're going to leave a little bit. Make sure the pages are all lined up. We're going to find this hole. We're going to poke right through. And sometimes you miss that outside page, so we come back through, pull that up, or come here, go down, back through the center, like that. Find this hole, poke through, miss that first page again, come up, and that's it. That's all there is to sew in a book. Quick and easy steps. Now what we want to do is we want to tie it, and we want to do is we'll probably want to trim it so it looks a little bit nicer. So it looks more like the real thing. So I use a rotary cutter for this. Basically it's a very sharp pizza cutter. You want a cutting mat and a metal straight edge. I cut the outside page first because if you notice the pages kind of form a V when you look at them, so you're going to cut those straight. So I just do the outside page first. It's the least amount of material, and watch your fingers. There we go. Got one edge cut. Didn't cut into any of the pages. There's these really convenient corner marks here that you can see. And then just cut the top and the bottom. And that is our finished booklet.